As they stepped out of the building, the morning sun peeked over the horizon, casting long shadows across the quiet street. Rich reached out, placing a hand on Ryu's shoulder. His grip was firm, deliberate. "Look, man, there's something I need you to understand," Rich said, his tone serious. Ryu's brows furrowed. He could feel a lecture coming, but about what? He braced himself. Rich exhaled. "I know your people have struggled. I know society hasn't been fair, but I just need you to know I'm not gay." Ryu blinked. Of all the things he expected, this wasn't one of them. He exhaled sharply, somewhere between a laugh and a sigh. This was probably the least offensive, yet somehow the most absurd thing Rich could have said in that moment. Ryu tilted his head, his expression unreadable. "Why do you think I'm gay?" Rich let out a sigh. "Well, I don't even really know you, and you've been following me around for hours now. You know, it's like I can't get rid of you." Ryu rolled his eyes. "So that means I'm gay?" Rich shrugged. "I'm just saying." Ryu shook his head, deciding not to push the issue further. After a beat, he asked, "Why are we even in this situation?" Rich hesitated. "Because you wouldn't leave me and my fire fist alone." Ryu took a deep breath, willing himself to remain patient. "We're here," he said slowly, "because you got into an argument with me over a beautiful girl at the bar. And because you wanted to," he gestured vaguely, "stick your little pee-pee in her." Rich's face twisted in realization. He paused, then muttered, "Oh, so you're not gay, you're bisexual." Ryu gave him a look, amused but unimpressed. "Yes," he said flatly, "and you're very cute." Rich stiffened. "Wait, what?" Ryu smirked and started walking. "Come on, fire fist, let's go find some breakfast." The two young men joined the line for the bus, standing among the quiet crowd waiting for the first ride of the morning. When the bus arrived, they shuffled forward. Once they got on the bus, Ryu quickly moved away from Rich, settling into a seat by the window. Once they got on the bus, Rich wasn't far behind. He slid into the seat, next to Ryu, before the other could protest. Once they got on the bus, Rich turned to Ryu with a slightly awkward expression. "Hey man, I'm sorry about that gay stuff. I'm not trying to hurt you, I just wanted to be clear." Ryu nodded, his expression unreadable. "Of course, I understand." Rich leaned back, exhaling. Then with a smirk he added, "Look, if you want to try anything, make sure I'm asleep first, okay?" Ryu let out a small laugh and shook his head. Noted. The bus rumbled forward, carrying them into the unknown, two young men still figuring each other out, one ridiculous exchange at a time. The soft hum of the bus and the gentle rocking of the road had done their work. Rich and Ryu sat slumped against each other, fast asleep. Rich's head lolled to the side, resting against Ryu's shoulder, his mouth slightly open, a thin line of drool creeping down his chin. The bus was filled with rows of young men, all in the same state, some with heads tilted against windows, others using their arms as makeshift pillows. The entire bus was lost in exhaustion, their breaths rising and falling in quiet rhythm. Then bang, 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 the sound of a baton slamming against metal shattered the peace. A voice roared through the bus, shaking the air like a thunderclap. "Wake up, you sorry sons of bitches. Everybody off the bus, now." Rich jolted awake, his head snapping up as he wiped at his face in confusion. "Huh, what?" Before he could even process, Ryu was already nudging him hard in the ribs, his own eyes still heavy with sleep. "Get up, dumbass, we're here." The bus door swung open, and outside, standing like a statue of wrath, was a military officer in full uniform. His face was carved from stone, his eyes sharp and merciless. He slammed his baton against the side of the bus once more. "I said move." One by one, the young men scrambled to their feet, tripping over themselves as they filed toward the exit, the remnants of sleep still clinging to their bodies. Rich groaned as he staggered forward. "Man, I had the weirdest dream." Ryu gave him a sideways glance. "Let me guess, you were back at the bar, but this time the girl actually liked you." Rich let out a tired laugh. "Nah, I think I was fighting a bear or something." The officer's voice cut through their conversation like a whip. "Shut the hell up. No one said you were allowed to talk. Everybody, 50 push-ups, now." A collective groan swept through the recruits, but no one dared to argue. They dropped to the ground, arms trembling as they began pushing. Some struggled from the first rep, others fought to keep a steady rhythm, but the officer wasn't about to let them off easy. As they pushed, he stalked down the line like a predator, eyes sharp and filled with contempt. Ryu, having seen this kind of beratement before, was mentally prepared. He kept his head down, moving through the push-ups with quiet efficiency, bracing himself for the insults and verbal abuse. Rich, on the other hand, had never experienced anything like this. It was as if he were watching a parody of a drill instructor, and at certain moments, despite himself, he actually giggled. The officer's ears practically twitched at the sound. His head snapped toward Rich, his gaze larking on him like a missile. "Oh, you think this is funny, boy? You having a good time?" Rich quickly bit his lip, trying to suppress the smile. "No, sir." The officer wasn't convinced. He crouched down right beside him. "Then why the hell are you laughing?" Rich pressed his lips together, trying desperately to hold it in, but something about the sheer intensity of the moment made it even harder. A chuckle slipped out. The officer's face turned red with rage. "Oh, you think I'm a damn comedian? Fine, get your ass down, 50 more push-ups, right now." Rich sighed but dropped back down. As he pushed himself up and down, his arms burning, he muttered under his breath, "Man, this is some next-level bullshit." The officer didn't hear him, but Ryu did. He shook his head slightly, exhaling through his nose. Once the push-ups were finished, the recruits were ordered to their feet, and the officer wasted no time, tearing into them one by one. He berated them for their clothes, their height, their weight, their smell, their weird-looking faces, their weird-looking eyes, anything he could find. He stopped at one recruit, glaring down at him. The young man was short, barely 5'5", his face gaunt and nervous. "What the hell are you supposed to be? A grown-ass man or somebody's lost little brother?" The recruit swallowed hard. "Sir, I didn't ask for an excuse. I asked what the hell you are." The recruit clenched his jaw and pushed through another rep. The officer moved on, stopping by another. This one was tall and lanky, his uniform hanging loosely on his frame. "Jesus, boy, do they not feed people where you're from?" Then he stopped at another, a muscular young man who reeked of overconfidence. He was breathing hard, struggling to keep up, but still held his head high. The officer squinted at him. "Where are you from?" The recruit hesitated, then answered, "From the city, sir." Silence. Then, the city. The officer let out a short, harsh laugh. "Oh, you're one of those. Think you're tough. Think you know what a hard life is." He suddenly crouched down beside the recruit, his face just inches from his. "Let me tell you something, city boy. Whatever kind of street garbage you crawled out of doesn't mean a damn thing here. You're in my world now, and my world doesn't give a shit where you're from." The recruit held his breath. The officer stood, his voice booming once again. "Now get your asses up. You've got a long day ahead, and I promise you, you'll wish you never woke up."